Hi guys, welcome to all. Today's very interesting topic, research proposal. How to write research proposal and what is the main objective of research. And today's topic they discuss about the title of the of your paper or of your research, and then what is the introduction, literature review about the research design and methods, and reference list, bibliography, research schedule. Also explain all overall the proposal of the research for PhD, and at present now very warning and trending issue and the research proposal. So let's start today's class. There are the first of all, the what is the objective of the research? Basically, to become acquainted with a phenomena on that often new insight into the studies with this object, if you are termed as exploratory formulative research also, and to accurately reflect the features of a specific individual circumstances or group descriptive research study, and to determine the frequency with which something occur or is connect with something else, and to test the hypothesis of the causal relationship between the variables, and also there are the hypothesis testing. So let us start there. I also describe there the descriptive versus analytical research. Also I describe their applied versus fundamental research, and also their quantitative versus qualitative research, and I also explain their conceptual versus empirical research, and also there are the some other type of research I will explain. And first of all, the research proposal purpose, basically the title page and introduction and literature review and research design and methods, and very important there are the implication, what is the contribution of knowledge and reference list. And so basically there are the very interesting and relevance of the reader that your concept is unique and focused in the important, and context demonstrate that you are knowledgeable with the field, that you are aware of the current level of research on the subject, and that your opinion are well founded in academic research. And number 3, their approach make a case for your approach by demonstration that you have considered that data, tools, and also process you will need to complete the study. And feasibility confirm if the project is feasible within the programs, institution, or the funding limits, and depend on your topic. And also there are the title page. And first of all, when you will start write the research proposal, the title page there, what is the proposed title of your project, and then your name and your supervisor name, the institution and department details, and also their introduction is very important for your research proposal. Their introduction introduce the topic, basically they highlight the introduce, what do you say, what do you think about in your title, and give there are the background and context, and outline your problem statement and the research question. It is three things, there are the three things is very important. Their introduction, the topic, introduce the topic, and give a background of context, and outline your problem and statement research question. It is the important for the introduction. And also some important question to guide their introduction. Basically when you will start the write your introduction, your proposal, and who has an interest in the topic. Basically their example scientists, policy makers, particular member of the society, and how much is already known about the problem, and what is missing from the current knowledge, and what new insight will your research contribute, and why is the research worth doing. It is very important. There are the in your own question query, there are some important question guide for an introduction, who has an interest in the topic, and how much is already known about the problem, what is the missing from the current knowledge, and what new insight will your research contribute, and why is this research worth doing. It is very important. And next their literature review, it will be contribute to conversation in the field and compare and contrast, and that what are the main theories and methods and debates and controversy also, and be critical, and what are the strength and weakness of the different approaches. And so how you research your research fit in, how will you build on challenge and synthesis the work of theirs. And also there are very interesting for that, and the research design and the design and methods. Basically, methodology in a research proposal is very important, and research types. And will you do qualitative or quantitative research, and will you collect the original data or the work and with the primary and secondary source, and is your research design there the descriptive, correlation and experimental. It is very important for your research design basically. And the research designs, they are the material design and material, and also research design, what is the study about, and why is the study being made, and where will the study be carried out, and what type of data is required, and where can the required data be found, and what period of time will the study include, and what will be the sample design, and what techniques of the data collection will be used, and how will the data be analyzed, and in what style will the report be prepared. It is very interesting for research design. And let us the research types, when there are the applied research versus fundamental research. There are two types of the research: applied research and fundamental research. Applied research tries to solve and the issue that the society or in the industrial or business entry in is now confronting, and whereas the fundamental research is primarily concerned with generalization and theory formation. And pure or basic research is defined as the gathering knowledge for sake gathering knowledge, and fundamental research can include the study of natural phenomena of pure mathematics. And similarly, research study on human behavior and carried out with the goal of making generalization about the human behavior are instances of fundamental research. And where applied research aim at specific conclusion and such as the solution in the response of specific social or business problems. And applied research include, for example, the research to discover social, economic or political trends and that may affect a certain institution, and copy research and research to determine whether certain the communication would be read and the understood, and making the research and evaluation study. As a result, the primary goal of applied research is to find a solution to a pressing the practical problem, and whereas the fundamental research aims to locate information that has a wide range of application add to the previously organized body of scientific knowledge. It is very interesting, the applied versus fundamental. And also when you will the descriptive research and versus their analytical research, there are the basically descriptive type of the research compress a variety of survey and fact finding inquiry, and the most important goal of descriptive research is to describe the current state of circumstances. Ex post facto research is a word used frequently in social science and business research to describe the descriptive research investigation. The main feature of this method is that the researcher has no control over the variables, and he can only describe what has occurred or is currently occurring. The majority of ex post facto research projects are utilized for descriptive studies, in which the researcher want to quantify thinking and likely shopping frequency and people's preference or other data. And ex post facto studies are attempted by the researcher to find cause and after the fact, and even when they are unable to control the factors. And survey methods of all kinds, including comparison and correlation methods, are used in the descriptive research. And analytical research, on the other hand, and the required the researcher to evaluate fact or information that is already available in order to produce a critical assignment of the material. It is really amazing. And also quantitative and qualitative, it is very interesting. Quantitative research is based on determining the quantity or amount of something. It can be used to describe phenomena that have numerical value. And also their qualitative research on other hand is concerned with qualitative phenomena such as those involving pertaining to quality or no kind. And when we are looking into the cause for human behavior, and we frequently refer to motivation study, which is a sort of qualitative research. And the goal of this form research is to uncover the underlying intention and desired by conducting in depth interviews also. And qualitative research include attitude or opinion research, and which is aimed to find out how people feel or think about certain objects or institutions in the behavior science. And whereas the goal is to identify the underlying motives of human behavior. And qualitative research is especially significant. We may analyze the numerous elements that push people the behavior in a certain way and make the dislike the certain things, use types of the research. And however, it should be noted that putting qualitative research into practice and thought task result also. And conceptual versus empirical research is very interesting. And the term conceptual research refer to research that is concerned and with abstract idea or theories, and philosopher and thinker commonly utilize. It is build new concept and regenerate and the current ones. And empirical study on the other hand release the solely on experiments and observation, typically without the concern for system or theory. It is the data deriving research that result in conclusion that can be validated by the observation experiment. And it is the sometimes referred to experimental research. It is virtual to obtain fact personally at their source and to actively go about performing the particular activities in order to stimulate the development by desired information in such a study. In such a study, the researcher must first formulating working hypothesis or educated guesses about the likely outcome. He next treat out of gather enough evidence, means the data, to support the refute his idea also. So definitely there are the experiments control over the variables under the examination, as well as the derivative manipulate of them and investigate consequence. So and some other type of the research sometime the perform limit and single times period, and whereas the little and conduct over numerous time periods, and depending on the environment. And research can be conducted in the field, in the TAF, and through the simulation. And clinical and diagnostic research are both terms that can be used for describe study. And to find core causal relationships, such as the study use case study and methods or depth approach, and such investigation typically develop into cause of things or events. There were interest in the employing very small samples and deep probleming data collection technology. So it is possible that the research will be exploratory for formal exploratory research focus, developing hypotheses rather than the testing themes, and whereas structure research, investigation, and have a more defined structure can structure and test specific idea. And historical research is the study of previous events or idea, and including the philosophy and individual and group at any moments in time, and using historical sources such as the papers, relics, and other fact also. So there the decision oriented research is always conducted to meet the need of a decision maker, and it is the researcher is not a free to do study based on his personal preference, and because it is a scientific way of providing the executive departments with a quantity base for the decision involving operation under the control. And operation research is an example of decision oriented research. It is very interesting and it is very important for research proposal. And there are the four main types of quantitative research, basically descriptive and the correlational and the casual and comparative and the experimental research, that's I explained. And also there are six common types of the qualitative research are such as the phenomenological, and ethnographics and grounded theory, historical case study, and action research also. And also there are the population and sampling, exactly what or who will you study, and how school student in the New York, and such as the example, how will select the subject, and the random sampling and the or case study sampling, when and where will you collect the data. It is very important. And that is the description of a sample types, the purpose basically, sample types, the purposive, and the researcher looks for files that match specified requirements, and to recruit new participants and snowball. Researcher release on the participants referrals, and the quota researcher select the instant from a variety of grouping and convergence. The researcher collect data from whenever case of the available to the time available at the time. It is very important. And research methods, that what tool and procedure will you use, basically their survey, an interview, observation, experiment, and to collect, analyze the data basically. And why are they these the best method to answer your research question is very interesting. And also their practice, practicalities, how much time will you need to collect the data, and how will you gain access to participants or sources, and do you force any potential obstacle, and how will you address them. It is interesting. And implication and contribution to knowledge, your result might have the implication for improving process in a specific location or field, and informing the policy objectives, and strengthening a theory or model, and changing the popular or scientific assumption, and creating a base for the further research. It is very related issue. And the reference list and bibliography, and this is a list of all sources you used to prepare the proposal, and including those you don't cite in the next in the text, and some cases additional relevant source you needed to read. And so there are the important note, choosing a topic. Basically, when you start the research proposal, first of all you choosing a topic, and your institution are and department's requirement, what is your requirement, and your area of knowledge and interest, and the scientific, social, and practical relevance, and what is the availability of the data and source, and the length and time frame of your dissertation. Very interesting. And there are the Another issue, relevance of your topic. What is the relevance topic? The scientific relevance. What is the scientific relevance of your topic? Your professional experiments, your social and practical relevance. And choosing a relevant topic is not the end of the story. So there are your educational program, and also define your problem. What is the problem of your topic, and also define your problem statement. Example, the problem statement, basically what is the problem in your research topic. Research main title depends on the must will elaborately explain. And thereafter, research question, the research questions and research question example and hypothesis is very interesting. First of all, you question there, what is your research, how and when, and it is very interesting, their hypothesis. And basically the hypothesis is a statement and that express your expectation that for the result of your research, and it is a response to your research question that has not been put to the test, and you may need to construct many hypotheses. So hypothesis to cover different facts of your research issue for some research initiatives. A hypothesis should be based on current theory and knowledge, not morely in the guess, and it must also be testable, and which means that scientific research and methods such as the test, observation, such as the statistical analysis of the data can be used to support or the daily. So it is important, and the variables in hypothesis is very interesting for your research, in the very important of your research variables. And hypotheses are a statement that propose a link and between two more variables, and the independent variables is sometimes that research alters or manipulates, and a dependent variable is sometimes that the research monitor and records. So there are the variables is very important for hypothesis. And developing a hypothesis, basically how it is developed, basically ask a question and do some preliminary research and formulate your hypothesis. So now you should have some idea of what you expect to find, and write your initial answer to question in a clear concise sentences. So it is clear that about the developing hypothesis. And there are the refine your hypothesis. Basically hypothesis should contain their relevant variables, the specific group being studied, the predicted outcome of the experiment, basically, or analysis. So basically they are write a null hypothesis. You will need to construct a null hypothesis if your research incorporates statistical hypothesis testing. The null hypothesis is the difficult stances and which state there is no relationship between the variables, such as the stand for the null hypothesis, while the hypothesis 1 and hypothesis stand for the alternative hypothesis, such as the first year student final exam score are unaffected by the number of lecture they are attend. So their hypothesis 1, the first year student attendance at the lecture has a positive impact on their final exam grades. So, and this type of use of the null hypothesis. And variables, and there are the hypothesis type of variables, such as the independent versus dependent, and explanatory versus response, and the mediator versus moderator, extraneous and the variables, and confounding versus there are the variables. So there are control variables, and also there are the correlation versus causation operationalization. So there are the different video. I will explain there the variables and hypothesis, type of the variables and variables of the hypothesis. I also explain. So basically today's there are the topic research proposal, what is the main themes, and the what is the research design, basically what is the study about, why is the study being made, and where will the study be carried out, and what type of the data is required, and where can the requirement data be found, what period of time will the study include, and what will be the sample design, what techniques of the data collection and would be used, and how will the data be analyzed, in what style will the report of prepared. This is the research design main interesting for your research proposal. And must you watching, and there are the next any update video, and press their bell icon for new update video. So thank you very much.